Scott, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Revitalized and refreshed.
All right.
We were still within the centralized wastewater impoundment provisions, and I was on page 33.
Right.
To the extent that Tab has comments, I don't believe we really have any changes that are proposed here that are of any significance.
Just a comment on page 35, little J. Registered professional geologists. Is there any reason why you have excluded registered professional engineers then? I think you have both in some other places. That's just maybe go back and check.
I suppose that the issue with groundwater monitoring wells and evaluation of groundwater was, I suppose, deemed by us to be the practice of geology.
Yeah, but you could have a PE who's a hydrogeologist or a geologic engineer or something too. Not a registered geologist, but a professional.
I will take. Can we leave that one as a
yeah.
under advisement?
Sure.
Let me put a note here. We're not, we're not the, obviously the Department of State. So, okay, thank you.
Scott, one of the comments I'd like from the API with regard to the casing around the monitoring well.
Sure.
Have you considered perhaps something else as opposed to that? Most heavy equipment will take care of the casing pretty easily. And I understand Sam's been using perhaps protective jersey guards around places like that might get those things from happening.
Okay, maybe one of the folks that helped us with this did install a lot of groundwater monitoring wells as part of site restoration activities. So we can take it back to, let me take that discussion and comment back to him as to what needs to be achieved, because if it maybe it needs to be performance standard. But I recall those comments from API when I had a chance to clarify that. Do you know, could you tell me what page you're on so I can make those comments myself?
That was page 35 at the top.
Thank you. Any other comments on page 35? Any other comments on page 36? I had on there about the professional engineers.
Tab, anything else on 36 or 37, 38? Scott, Scott, you may have seen one of the comments suggested, at least as you're talking through section 61, that where you say disposal area and dispose of, you use placed and placement as alternative terms.
All right, we'll make a note of that and make them consistent.
I don't have anything till page 45. Having anything before that?
There were some comments about where you talk about below the casing seat and above the casing seat, and certain people wanted to know just what casing that was.
Surface casing, that's defined in the existing regulations.
Okay, that's a definition of
Yes.
casing seat is surface casing.
Yes.
If you take a look in 7861B, it has a cross-reference to 7883C, which is just the surface casing.
Okay, great. It's not in the definitions. Thank you for this. I made a mistake.
Page 45. It's paragraph H in hotel. It may be, I think this is just the first sentence right at the end, inspected weekly to ensure, somebody suggested to ensure their integrity, inserting their, possessive there. That's, all service can shall be inspected to ensure their integrity. Next page, item paragraph D is in Delta.
Are we at 65? 78,
Yeah.
65?
Yeah, I think that's it. Restoration drilling. That first sentence, within 9 months of completion of drilling a well. Don't you want to make some reference to the final well on the pad there?
When you, that's the section, sentence 2, which is 4 line on 4
Oh,
line.
okay. Fine. Okay, completion of drilling. Okay. Double I below that, remaining impervious areas are minimized. Could we insert some language that maybe gives the operator the ability to demonstrate that areas are in fact pervious and nothing needs to be done to them?
And I believe that that is actually, well, that's a good point. How would that demonstration occur?
Leach test, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you do there, but you could. Some sort of perk test, I don't know. Why don't you at least note that for additional consideration.
Sure, sure. Okay.
And I had somebody gave me a suggestion that at triple I, you have A, B, C, D, and E, and add an additional subsection F, you could designate it F, that would say something like areas used for workover operations, including restimulation, diagnostic, assessment, testing, and emergency response. So you make sure that those areas, in fact, are included as areas that are needed for future safe operation of the well.
Yeah, and we were trying to get that with A, service vehicle and rig access, plus the safety barrier in D. So what was their comment?
It was workover operations, including restimulation, diagnostic assessment, and testing, and emergency response.
Diagnostic testing and emergency.
Diagnostic assessment and testing. And emergency response.
I'm including this because it was our intention to not require restoration to the point where safety could be a concern.
Sure.
I'm not sure that I could put refracking in among that same list of categories.
Next page is paragraph E.
Okay. Yeah.
It's 4E, I believe. Right next, keep going. Next.
Move down farther.
Okay. That original land use shows up there again. And at the end of that section, G, as in golf, the well operator shall forward a copy of this restoration report to the surface landowner, and should be if requested by the landowner, he shall forward a copy.
Well, that was not our intent, and basically we thought that the restoration, this was kind of, let's call it a bit of a compromise from the original concept, which was that landowner consent be required prior to disposal of cuttings on site. The question became whether or not we had the statutory authority to require such consent, and we determined that we did not, but we do believe that property owners who may not really understand what is going on that area of their property should at least have a copy of what is otherwise a publicly available record, alerting them to the fact that there's something there that they need to be aware of for future activity on the land. So I felt that it was important that information be provided every time.
Okay. Okay, right below that, 7866. That visits least perhaps one of the tab favorites, the spill policy. The question arises, looks like you've sufficiently addressed spill reporting here. So why do we now have a spill policy in place?
Because we're at least a year away, and having nothing in place in the interim. I mean, candidly, the spill policy should have been finalized months ago, but it was not. And there still needs to be a question of what to do in the interim. And having no guidance is perhaps, in my opinion, worse than one that is not currently favored. So
when these become effective, the spill policy is null and void?
correct.
Scott, whether it's in here and the changes to 78 or in the spill policy, this issue of chloride contaminated soil is going to hang out there. We all struggle with that a little bit.